Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this wonderful world. Welcome to BWTM. I'm with the world famous trainer, Uncle James Ali Bashir. Uncle, how are we doing?
I'm doing fine. Everything's good. Training camp is up and going.
Fantastic, fantastic. I read something somewhere, I don't know where, but along the lines of training and sparring is going to be harder than the fight itself.
Yes, I believe so. I really believe that. I believe that in any case, not just the Larry Klitschko or Anthony Joshua case. I think that that's the truth in any case. The hard work is done in the training and sparring, getting mentally and physically prepared.
Okay, last night, I'm sure you're aware there was some boxing going on. Alexander Usyk made the second defense of his WBO cruiserweight title against the fearless Michael Hunter. Hunter been out the ring a year, took the fight to fight Usyk, and he, as I said, he was fearless. Did you get to see the fight yourself?
Yes, I did.
What were your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was a pretty competitive fight, and I thought that it could have been more competitive had Michael Hunter been in pristine condition.
So you're suggesting that Michael Hunter probably wasn't in the best condition coming into that fight?
No, I get the impression from watching the fight, I don't know what the case was, but I get the impression from watching the fight that he wasn't at his best, and how could he be if he hasn't had a fight in 1 year? So kudos to the team, Usyk, that they chose Michael Hunter because he had been out of the ring for a whole year. And anybody that knows boxing knows that it's very critical to have activity prior to going into a championship fight.
There are a few things that perplex me about the fight. I thought Usyk Hunter could have been a blockbuster fight down the line had they avoided one another, and Usyk got a few more wins, and Hunter fought a few new fighters, and they could have made a real big fight out of that, big money fight out of it. Instead,
yeah, I thought that it would have been better. I think it would have been better for both guys, but I can understand Usyk's position for taking Michael Hunter now before he can get better. So I understand Usyk's position, but I really don't understand Michael Hunter's thinking in taking a fight like that with a 1 year layoff. No, I don't understand that. I think that he would have been better served by taking perhaps 2 fights before pursuing a fight like Alexander Usyk.
There seems to be more the common trend now that fighters are picking other fighters. They're picking good name fighters that may have been out of the ring for a while, and then obviously taking advantage of that. And you can't blame fighters or their management for doing that. That's a smart thing to do. Why do the other fighters make the decision to take these fights when it's not in their best interest?
I don't understand the logic, especially in a case where so young as is the case in Michael Hunter. I think that he had time, that he could have bought time. He's so young, and he does have talent. And I think that in his best interest, he should have just said, no, I don't want to take this fight at this time, and taken 1, maybe 2 more fights before going to a championship fight. The general thinking is that I can't let this opportunity escape me. But it's not like Michael Hunter is 37. He's 27, 28 years old. He's got time.
So coming into the fight yourself, what was your knowledge of Michael Hunter?
I met Michael Hunter some years ago here in the Klitschko camp. He was being managed, handled by a friend of mine, Mustafa Amin, and that was the extent of our relationship. He was here twice, and we worked together. We worked good together, and he showed promise. He showed promise in boxing Larry Klitschko. He showed a lot of poise and finesse, And I thought, and I still do think that he can make a name for himself in boxing. But he's going to have to collect himself. He's going to have to collect himself. And you know, in my opinion, black fighters don't run their careers. And I say this here with a lot of passion. It seems to me that black fighters don't run their careers as though it was a Fortune 500 company. They run their careers on the fly. They run their careers, you know, like they're in the hood selling crack. You know, they have 4 or 5 people instructing them in the corners. They have 2 or 3 people instructing them in the training camps. They don't set up structure in approaching their professionalism. They don't set up a good structure. And I'm critical of that. I'm very critical of that. It makes me very, very angry and very, very emotional. That's why I opted to leave out of the American boxing scene.
Is there... Well, the excuse could be that they're coming out of the ghetto, or they're coming out of a struggle, and what do they know? They're coming out of struggle. They're just trying to come out of being drowned and get their head above water, as they say, and they're trying to get to land. And when they get to land, then they've been to a place they've never been before, meaning they're getting money. And then when they land all this money, they don't know how to manage it because, well, you know.
Well, that can't be used as an excuse, because there were guys that were doing the same thing in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and in 80s. I mean, and the guys, the Michael Hunter, era of fighters, they have it far better than those prior to them. But yet and still, the people that came in those eras of the past, they were more focused, they were more business-like, they were more controlled, and they were more dedicated, more devoted to their training staff. I thought that one of the problems with Michael Hunter's fight last night was that he had 2, maybe 3 people in the corner instructing him. And that can only add to confusion. Now, I might have been wrong, okay? Maybe that's what makes him tick, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have that done. I don't believe in that kind of foolishness. You know, when you're in a fight of that stature against a guy like Alexander Usyk. Usyk is a very, very dedicated professional, a very, very focused professional, a very, very strong-minded, strong-willed. You know, he's very everything. And you can't go into a fight like that there, you know, with 2 or 3 guys in the corner instructing you, hoopla and rah-rah. You know, it just doesn't work.
So what about shouting from the corner, jab, jab, use the right hand, Michael, use the right jab, circle, jab, jab. It's like he was coaching him from the corner.
Yeah, I see this as a common practice in different training circles. There's a common practice, you know, where people are in the locker room saying, you know, you got to watch out for the jab, you got to hook off the jab, you got to throw it right up, because see, when you get there, you turn your shoulder. You have, in other words, you have different mentalities that are trying to train the fighter at the fight, when in reality, that game is over. It's time to fight now. So you have people that's in the locker rooms that's trying to train the fighters. Don't do the jab when you come back. No. It's time to stop that now. The fight is here. We're at the fight. Let the fighter focus on what he has to do in the ring. Michael Hunter is a seasoned fighter. You know, he's been around a long time. And his father was a very, very good fighter.
He was.
So boxing is not new to him. Boxing is in his blood. Boxing is in his attributes. You know, he could be a better fighter. In short, he could be a better fighter.
So that's what makes it even worse. That's what makes it even worse, because if his father was a fighter, as we know, and a very good fighter, he was the guy that came in and beat undefeated fighters. He was that kind of guy. You know, he was a no-nonsense type of fighter. If his father was like that, hell can Michael Hunter take a year out of boxing and then his comeback fight be Alexander Usyk? That don't make no sense to me. There's no logic apart from if you're in it for the money.
Well, he did himself a disservice out there last night, because I saw that the window of opportunity was available for him to possibly have made a better fight. I'm not saying that he could have beaten Alexander Usyk, because Usyk, from my 11 fights in 3 years that I worked with Usyk, I learned that he's a very dedicated, very religious, very aggressive, like I said, very everything. Alexander Usyk is not going to lay down in the middle of the road and let somebody walk in and take his belts. No. Whoever fights Alexander Usyk is going to have to be more than physically ready. They're going to have to be spiritually ready, physically ready, well-conditioned. They're going to have to be everything to beat Usyk and Lomachenko. These guys, they're the real thing. They're the real thing. They're the real deal, and they're not going to lay down for anybody. Okay. They're going to fight. They're going to fight down to their last breath. So all the people out there in your listening audience who are thinking about going against these guys, you better come with the whole package, because that's what you're going to need to beat these guys.
Okay. It was commented the introduction of Russ Anbar in the corner. A lot of moments that he seemed that he was panicking and using his hand gestures and telling Usyk what he should be doing in the corner, almost coaching what he wanted him to do. Early relationship between Anbar and Usyk, but the rumor is that Lomachenko, his father, Anatoly Lomachenko, gave Usyk the game plan before the fight, and then Russ Anbar was just following those instructions through during the fight. Does that work?
I don't know. I don't know about it. Russ has been designated as the trainer for Usyk, and I think that Usyk and Russ are working closely together. I mean, Lomachenko might have had some input during the training session, but I believe for the most part that Russ Anbar is the trainer, and that's what he needs to follow. He needs to try to get close to the trainer and embrace what the trainer says and try to form some kind of camaraderie, some kind of relationship with him where they can go forth and be successful.
Now, I hate to go back about this, but I just recently had a conversation with Eugene from who's our Eastern European correspondent, and he mentioned a recent interview with Mr. Klimas, who said along the lines of, "It was me who's been in touch with Usyk since he started his professional career, and it was me who advised him to do the things that he's done, and it was me that decided that when it was time for him, when he became world champion, it was time for me to kind of take over the reins. It was me that basically, it wasn't me, it was Usyk that decided to get rid of the trainer, and it was me." But basically, there's a lot of "it was me." The only thing he didn't admit to saying is that he trained Alexander Usyk, but he's been in his career before, or at the very start of his professional career, even though he wasn't managing him. Is that possible?
Knowledge of it. You know, I didn't have any knowledge of it at all. I thought that Usyk was working with the people that was closest to him, Alexander Krasuk and Sergey, the assistant coach. Those would seem to be the closest people that was orchestrating his career. But I don't know whether East Clemens was there or not. I had no knowledge of it.
Okay, let's get back to the fight. Usyk, his performance, it was also mentioned that he was a lot more static. People commented that when he was under your tutelage, there was more movement. In the Manchuno fight, in the Goracki fight, they said that he was a masterclass. His movement, his way he put his punch together. This fight last night, he seemed more static, more easy to hit, and he just seemed to be doing things, working out on the fly, as opposed to having a game plan.
And I think that that Alexander was trying hard to impress, to be impressive, to get the knockout instead of working and building on getting the knockout. I think he just went out there and tried to get rid of Michael Hunter, and when that didn't work, and when it turned into a fight, you could see that he was breathing deeply in the corner. I thought that he threw away a lot of punches. I thought that he got hit a lot more. But again, that could be just from trying to be impressive, trying to be impressive for the HBO um, crowd that was there. I think that it came from just, and Michael Hunter has some things to do with it. Michael Hunter has brought some craftiness to the boxing. He just didn't have the steam to keep up what he was doing. Had Michael Hunter been in better shape, we might have saw a better fight. You know, but like I said, Alexander Usyk is always in good shape, and his getting hit so much. He took a lot of punches last night, a lot of punches that he doesn't normally take. He's a better boxer than what he showed last night. He was just banging in there with Michael Hunter last night. He took and he gave a lot.
Is this the way forward for Usyk now that you're trying to impress the crowd and impress the public and impress the the executives of the TV stations? By doing that, is that not a danger of ruining his own legacy as a fighter? Because he's going against what the game plan would be that maybe you would have set out in previously, or what his trainer would set out now, and the game plan is now based around entertaining rather than getting the win.
There's a combination of the two. You know, I can understand your positioning, and I can understand the positioning of Alexander Usyk. You know, so there's a combination of things that need to be done. Every trainer has his own approach, his own style, his own application. And I think that application, what was missing in the fight last night, I think the application was crude, to say the least, because like I said, he took a lot of punches that I would not have had him take. There was a better way in my mind to do it, of which I'll keep to myself. But you can't continue to do that. He cannot continue to fight the way he fought last night. I mean, he did what he had to do going down the stretch. He wore Michael Hunter down, and I think that the fight should have been stopped. It should have been stopped. If not by the referee, by the corner, because they took a big risk in that last minute and a half. They took a big risk of getting Michael Hunter hurt because he was done. He was exhausted. You know, Michael Hunter may bear to differ what I'm saying now, but I think that he took a big risk last night getting hit with those shots. Fortunately for Michael Hunter, that Alexander Usyk didn't land crisp, clean shots. You know, he was able to rock and roll, slip and slide a lot of those shots when Usyk was throwing the flurries. But I think if Usyk had settled down and picked his spots, you know, if Usyk had settled down and concentrated more on body shots and then coming on top, he would have gotten the KO. I think still that the referee could have and should have stopped it. I think that the corner could have and should have stopped it, and they didn't. So, am I Michael Hunt?
Do you think the referee is...
And robbed Alexander Usyk of the knockout.
Yes. Do you think the referees were encouraged last night not to stop the fights early and to get fighters to be knocked out so it looked good for TV? Because it seemed that was happening all night long.
I don't know what the thinking was, you know. But one thing is for certain in most cases that the corner is not privy to that kind of information, and that the corner has an obligation to look out for the fighter. And I thought that Michael Hunter was done halfway through the 12th round. He was done. He was taking clean shots, but for the most part, he was evading the big shots from Usyk. And had Usyk settled down and focused a little more, he would have gotten the KO. I'm certain he would have gotten the KO. I thought that the Michael Hunter corner failed and they should have stopped that fight.
Why do corners allow that to happen? We saw the Jason Sosa fight where I think it might have been Sosa's dad that stopped the fight because he said, you know what, you're having one more round. If I don't see you do anything in this round, I'm stopping the fight. You're taking too many punches. And he stopped the fight in the corner.
Well, I think in professional boxing, like I said, you have minds in the corner that are more interested in winning at any cost. We want to win, and we're not going to pull the plug. We're waiting for the imaginary comeback, if you will, which in most cases don't happen. Michael Hunter seemed to be done in that last half minute of that fight, and he could have been seriously injured. He needed to have the fight stopped. Stop the fight today and live another day. So I thought Alexander Usyk was robbed of the KO. Like I said, Michael Hunter has gotten through the fight, so he may beg to differ with me. His corner may beg to differ with me. But I'm an expert. I consider myself to be an expert. I've lived my life as an expert. And I've learned through the schools of hard knocks that you save a fighter to fight another day. You don't want to get the fighters ruined. I've seen a good fighters get ruined in one fight and never be the same. I've seen that time and time again in this profession. You know, you have to step in, and when the fighter is taking incoming shots, you want to try to prevent him from getting injured before he gets injured. So it's better to just say, hey, stop this fight now. And they didn't do that. So in my mind, it kind of fit them.
A message to Michael Hunter, if he's listening, what would you suggest him now to do in his position?
Who? Say again.
A message to Michael Hunter. What would you say to Michael Hunter? What would you advise Michael Hunter at this time?
I would advise Michael Hunter to sit back and reassess what he's doing in the professional boxing. Because Michael Hunter was better to me 3 years ago than he is now.
Uh-oh.
Michael Hunter was a better fighter 3 years ago than what he is right now. I think that another problem was the opponents that Michael Hunter has fought could in no way prepare him to fight with Alexander Usyk. Usyk built his reputation on fighting good, solid fighters. If you look at the records of the guys that fought Alexander Usyk, for the most part, winning records, he built up his resume by competing against good, solid fighters at every part of his career. Whereas Michael Hunter, if you look at the guys Michael Hunter fought, there's no way that he can get ready for Alexander Usyk. In my mind, as a boxing trainer, as a boxing manager, you cannot go to the big dance fighting gimmies. You know, you can't go to the big, not unless you're a crushing puncher. Now, if you're a crushing puncher that can do it with 1 or 2 shots, hey, you can probably walk in like that. But if you're not that crushing puncher, then you're out. And I look at Michael Hunter's resume, I'm saying, how could he prepare to fight a guy with Alexander Usyk's reputation, Alexander Usyk's skills, his desire, his willingness? It's just a whole lot of problems that you're going to run into facing a guy like Usyk because he's special. Alexander Usyk is a special fighter. And you're not just going to walk in off the streets and beat him. So, yeah, I would suggest that Michael Hunter sits back, reassesses his career. This is a message to, and I'm concerned with black fighters because I've worked with more black fighters than I've worked with any other fighter. Stop BSing around with your careers, you know? You got people in the corners that knows very little about the sport of boxing. You know, they'll come out and, you know, like you said, there's fire, shoot the jab and throw the hook and right hand and then move to the left and this, that's a given. But the sport itself has to be paid attention to. You know, the application therein. The boxing trainers that's out there now, black, white, brown, or yellow, they don't know what the hell that they're doing. The majority of the people that's in boxing right now at the top levels don't know what they're doing. You know, many of the guys at the top levels, they get fighters that's already made. But for the most part, they become stagnant when they get to these guys because the guys at the top level don't know what they're doing. I don't have to call them names. All you got to do is just watch the corner. I don't have to call no names, you know, because then I'd start a pissing contest. But at the top levels, if you just look at the instructions that's being given in those corners, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They have no idea about what they're doing. So I would just suggest to Michael Hunter and all the black fighters that are, you know, that's out there, to collect yourself, sit back, reassess your career, and start running your careers like a Fortune 500 company and not like some kind of crack organization, like you're dealing crack in the hood somewhere. You want to get into boxing, you want to run your life and your career because your families, your children, your loved ones are depending on you, you know, and then you get involved. I thought that Michael Hunter's corner was in disarray last night. You know, you got 2, maybe 3 people in the corner giving instructions. You can't run a corner like that because you only have 1 minute to get the instruction through in a heated contest like that there. If you got 2 or 3 people talking, it's only going to cause confusion. It's not going to help, you know. So instead, he's back and collects itself and applies itself by getting himself a trainer that he can believe in, a trainer that he can relate to, a trainer that has knowledge of what they are doing, and then work with that trainer throughout. You know, it's the same thing that affects Marco Hunt. Marco Hunt has had 2 or 3 different trainers in the last 3 years. How can he be successful? How can he be successful and you work with 2, 3 different trainers? You never get to know one trainer. So I would suggest that Michael Hunter sits back. He's a young man. He has talent. He has talent. I saw that when he was here in the Letterman Clisco training camp. And he can box. You know, he can box. And he can apply better power. He didn't show no power last night. It looked to me like he was really working on fumes from the 8th round on. He was just working on fumes. And I think that that's a testimony to the kind of training and the people that he's around. I'm not saying that they're good. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying it wasn't effective last night in that corner.
Usyk's performance, you said he got hit a lot last night. Does that now?
Yeah, he got hit a lot.
Does that style work against the best cruiserweights in the world?
You know, I don't know. The jury is out on that question. I don't know. He took more punches last night than I would have had him to take.
Okay, let's.
You know, I think that Alexander Usyk is a.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hear me out. I think Alexander Usyk is a better boxer than he is puncher.
Okay.
And I think that Usyk, though he hits hard, the sharpness of his punches is more stunning for another fighter to receive, as opposed to than looking for the Mike Tyson power. Usyk power derives from his boxing angles, his boxing skills, his boxing mentality. He's a boxer puncher, not puncher boxer. And he has to set up his formats off of his boxing skills, of which he's very good at. So I would have him resort more to his boxing skills, you know, setting up off the angle, setting off a good jab. He didn't show me the jab last night. I mean, I didn't see him using the jab as his forte last night. You know, and I think that he has a far better jab than what was displayed in that fight last night. There's a lot of things that I would have done. Like I said, everybody has a different application in boxing, and I'm no exception to the rule. But I would have had him do it differently, as opposed to taking all the punches that he took last night. He took a lot of punches.
So I come to you. I'm the manager of Usyk, and I say to you, listen, we need to impress the HBO bosses, and we need to ensure that Usyk gets the knockout and he's impressive. So do whatever you have to do to make sure we get the knockout. How does that affect you as a trainer?
I would simply respectfully tell the manager, you be the manager and you let me be the trainer. But I don't let anybody come in and interrupt my schedule, my planning for what the boxer does in that ring. Then that's probably why I'm the ex-trainer now. Oh God, you're funny, man. You're funny, but no. But nobody tells me what to do about boxing. Not the manager, not the promoter, not nobody. When that bell rings, it's just me and the boxer. And the boxer has to follow my guidelines to get the win, I don't let people put pressure on me like that there. I'm too seasoned for that. I've been around this thing a long time, and I command my respect.
So,
and you know what?
Yeah.
Before I let somebody tell me or bully me like that there, I'd rather be gone. I'd rather be in a circumstance where I'm happy, where I'm complete, where I'm whole, and where people honor and cherish my presence, the boxer, the manager, and the promoters. So I'd rather be going than to have somebody tell me some nonsense like that. No. You go back and manage, and I'll box, and I'll teach boxing.
Well, so we can all only assume that that relationship of master and I don't say master and slave, but master and subordinate would not work.
No, I mean, you gotta understand. Boxing is a spiritual effort. It's a very spiritual effort, and all of the people surrounding that fight, that corner, has to play their own role, and nobody must come out of their role during or after or before the fight.
Let me spin something on you here. Would you be happy if you were the trainer at the gym, and then your name was being put to a fight, and someone would say, "Oh, well, you know what? Behind the scenes, Bashir's the trainer, but this guy's the front man. He's going to take all the plaudits for it."
No.
And then when it all goes wrong, we come back for you.
No, I'm either the trainer or I'm out. I'm the trainer or I'm out. That's just the way it is. I don't feel like, I don't feel like I have to make any excuses to be the trainer. Eddie Chambers and I have been going back and forth recently. We've been going back and forth. He wants to make a comeback and give it a real effort to become the cruiserweight champion. I think he's given up on the idea of becoming a heavyweight. So, being at the heavyweights are so huge and so big and tall and strong now, and just so youthful. I mean, these are some big guys. I'm here in the Labyrinth Crystal camp up here in the Austrian mountains, and the guys that's in this camp are huge. I mean, they make me feel small standing next to them. I said, geez, these guys are big. And they're big, young guys, 22, 23 years old. And these guys are huge. And they're strong. They're not fat guys. These guys are big, muscular guys. And they make me feel small. So I can only feel like I can only imagine what a small woman feels like standing next to, because I'm a man and I feel small standing next to these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So Eddie and I have been going back and forth, back and forth, but I'm not willing to share my trainership with nobody. I don't believe in co-training boxers with anybody. Either I'm the trainer or I'm not. I don't feel like I have to do that at this point. You know, I've tried that before in my years as a trainer, and it never works. It never works when you're trying to train boxers with other trainers. It seems like there's always a tug of war. If I'm telling the boxer to go right, the other guy's telling him to go left. If I tell him to go up, the other guy says go down. If I tell the guy it's day, the other guy says it's night. So I don't like that. And I don't feel like I should be involved in anything like that there, because it seems to me like it's much to do about nothing. That nothing gets done because, you know, the one trainer's trying to impress upon the guy that he's right, and then another trainer's trying to impress upon the guy that he's right. So either I'm the trainer or I'm out. But nobody else has a voice in that training camp but me. You can express something to a boxer when he's out of the gym, when he's out of the ring. But in that ring, I have to be the guy that's applying, that's giving the instruction about what needs to be done, because everybody has their own approach to doing this here. I think that I know best. If somebody else thinks they know best, fine, do it somewhere else, but not in my training camp. So I've told Eddie Chambers, I told him, you know, if you want to make a run at this thing, okay, fine. But number one, we have to go to a place that's conducive to training, like Detroit, Michigan, and to the Kronk Gym or the hands-on gym out there, Jimmy Paul's hands-on gym. You know, we got to go to a place that's conducive to preparation. We have to go into an environment that's conducive to preparation, and an environment that's away from your friends, away from the socialism of the neighborhood you live in. We've got to go to another state. We've got to go to another community. We've got to go to a complete training atmosphere and get ready for a fight. But I will not do it with, with somebody else, you know, trying to give instructions while I'm trying to give instructions. That's just not the way to do it. I see now, you know, from the early years in boxing, working with the Emanuel Stewarts, you know, the Sam Solomons, the Percy Richardsons, the Tommy Parks, the Jimmy Glenns. I understand now as a young trainer when they would tell me different things, and then most of all to keep quiet in the corner. I understand now, you know, because I'm the guy, I'm the old guy now.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm the guy that's in the shoes that they wore many years ago, and I understand now. So I kept quiet, and I drank in the impressions and expressions of those trainers. And now I have a vacuum of wisdom. The Walter Smiths, the Floyd Logans. I learned from all of those guys. The Bill Millers. You know, I learned from those guys. And I learned one thing is to keep quiet in the corner and let the masters work. So I told Eddie Chambers, if you want to make a serious run at it, I'm here for you, you know. But there's nothing for us to really sit down to talk about, you know. If you want to make a run, we go to a training camp. We set aside, we make up an account. We go to a training camp. And I can show Eddie Chambers, a guy that can box, that has the IQ that Eddie Chambers got. I can guide him to the Cruiserweight Championship of the world. And I'm telling you something. A prime Eddie Chambers in shape, him and Alexander Usyk would be a beautiful fight. Shit, I'd be in the corner. I'd be a fan as much as I was training that fight.
But the thing with that fight is Eddie Chambers has to let his hands go. He can't do what he did against.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That he'd have to be focused, you know. But I would love to see a match like that there. Alexander Usyk and Eddie Chambers. I tried to get Eddie Chambers to come into the camp in Ukraine to box with Usyk, you know, because I figured that Usyk was going to benefit from boxing with Eddie Chambers. I think that would have been a great contribution to his skills had he boxed with Eddie Chambers. But still, I would like to see that fight. Oh man, Eddie Chambers in shape, good mental, spiritual, physical shape. I guess all the time I would say that would be a hot fight. That would be a hot fight. I really like that. I really like that.
How
But
about?
Eddie Chambers? Eddie Chambers is so mental.
Mm-hmm.
He's so mental. He'd have to be really sharp to be able to overcome Usyk.
Has he really got what it takes now to be cruiserweight champion?
That's a good question because I haven't been around Eddie now in close to 3 years, and that's a really good question. Does he still have the desire? Does he still have the will?
That Gerald Washington fight, I'm sorry, I loved Eddie, but that fight, or that non-fight, was...
Well, I'm here in camp now with Gerald Washington is here in camp with us now.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Gerald Washington. But
I'm looking. No, I'm watching Gerald Washington box with Vladimir Klitschko every day here in camp. And you know what? For a guy that started his career in 207, this guy is not a bad boxer. He's not a bad boxer. He came a long way from not to have an amateur career. Just to be in boxing for 10 years without an amateur career, and he's here boxing with the former two-time heavyweight champion of the world, Vladimir Klitschko, right now. And you know what? He's giving as well as he's taking. I like him. I'm impressed with him. I'm impressed with his skills thus far in boxing. I'm really, really taken aback by his skills. For a guy that's so young in the sport. So, yeah, I think that he has a chance. I think that Gerald Washington impresses upon me that he could possibly become the heavyweight champion of the world. If he keeps practicing, if he stays close to the best, and keeps practicing, he can be really good. He can really go out and impress.
He was doing well against Deontay Wilder until he got backed and got hit with a right hand.
Yes, but he still has to learn how to hold it together. He took a good shot, but not the kind of shot that you get stopped by. If you're talking about being the champion of the world, you got to be able to, take a knee, hold, grab, or do something to buy time to get through the round. But I like him. I'm impressed with him. I didn't think he was that good until I saw him here boxing with Vladimir Klitschko. I didn't think that I thought that he was a C-rated fighter, but he's better than I thought he was. I'll admit that he's better than I thought he was.
Okay, in terms of better than I thought he was. Last night, I was perplexed that one of the commentators said that Lomachenko is is the greatest fighter in the world at the moment. It's a bit far-fetched, don't you think?
He said, well, I mean, the analysts, that's their job. Their job is to say that. I think that Lomachenko is a big shark in a tank full of goldfish. I think that he's a good fighter. I think he's a superb boxer. And I think that there's nobody in the field, especially at 130, that can deal with that. And it's not so much the boxers, it's the teachers. There's nobody there to teach these guys what they have to do to neutralize a guy like Lomachenko. And Lomachenko don't make mistakes about it. He likes what he's doing. He loves what he's doing. And that's another thing that they have to deal with. So Lomachenko's a very, very good fighter. I think he's a big shark in a tank full of goldfish.
Now, if he moves up to fight Mikey Garcia, Linares,
I think it's a good contest. The fact that Lomachenko is willing, the fact that he's striving, the fact that he's calling these guys out that I want to go up there. He's even talking about competing against Crawford, who is two divisions bigger than him. That tells you the kind of guy that Lomachenko is. That he's to be respected. That he's not playing. That he's coming for the meat and potatoes.
Does he beat Crawford?
I don't know, but the fact that he's willing, the fact that he's got him in his radar, that's impressive to me. That's impressive to me that he's got him in his radar. I got you on my radar. You ain't so big, I got you on my radar. And you know what? You could be right around the corner from fighting me. I'm impressed with the fact that he even mentions them. That I want this fight. That you come on out your hole and let's fight. Let's rumble. I'm impressed with that. Lomachenko is a fighter full of desire and willingness. And that's what boxing needs. It needs injection. That I'm here to rumble. I'm here to thump. And I'm not trying to duck and dodge nobody. Come on. I'm here to fight. So, yeah, Linares and Mikey Garcia, he's putting them on notice. That I think that Lomachenko's a heartbeat away from being a lightweight fighter. Okay. They said something about him and Gamboa. I think Lomachenko hangs out with any one of those guys. Will he beat them? Remains to be seen. But I think that he can be competitive against any one of those guys.
They're already comparing him to all-time great. Is it too soon for that?
It's a lot of comparisons to be made because the fighters today aren't what the fighters were just 15, 20 years ago. So, based on the landscape that's there, what else can they do? What else can they do? The same thing with Floyd Mayweather Jr. What else can they do? But the one thing that you've got to give Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Lomachenko, you've got to give them credit for the fact that they're willing to compete. It's not my fault. It's not their fault that competition is not up to par. I'm doing my homework. I'm in the camp. I'm doing my homework. If you're not ready, then that's your ass.
That's true. Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
You really can't blame those guys. So the analysts that's out there, they're saying, "Oh, this guy is one of the all-time greats for the era that he's in." Yes. Yesteryear, Lomachenko against the fighters of yesteryear. You going back to the 70s and the 60s. He would have had more contests because there were better teachers around. This thing always boils down to teachers.
Okay, let's say
you take the colleges.
Yeah.
Oxford, Yale, Harvard. Those schools are only what they are because they have the best teachers.
Absolutely.
You understand? They have the best teachers. So it is in the sport of boxing. So it is in the sport of football and all these other sports. It boils down to, you have great coaching staffs. It boils down to tutelage. Who is the teacher? Who are the teachers? You can look at the guys and see how they win, Mm-hmm. Winning is one thing, but how you win is a whole different thing. And I'm telling you that this guy, Lomachenko, is for real. And it's going to take some kind of rare quality, some rare kind of tutelage to beat him.
Okay.
Does he have 10 fights yet? I don't think he has 10 fights yet.
I think that was his 8th fight last night, or 8th or 9th fight last night.
He's got nearly 400 amateur fights, and those amateur fights seem to have prepared him for what he's doing in the pros. He hasn't even had 15 fights yet, and they're talking about comparing him to all-time greats. It's not his fault. He's doing his job, and I respect that.
How would he have done against an Azuma Nelson, for example?
Lupe Pinto, Samuel Sanchez, Eusebio Pedrosa, all of those guys from that era. Prince Nassim Hamid. You gotta be. You understand? When you're making comparisons, you go back to that era and put them in with those guys. then you got a real fight on your hands. Zuma Nelson, Jeff Finnick.
Pernell
You know,
Whitaker?
yeah, Pernell Whitaker. You know, you're talking about a different era, an era that had good teachers, and now you don't have so many good teachers around. And that's why Lomachenko could come into boxing and be in such demand at 8 or 9 fights, even coming out of the amateurs. You know, because of the teachers. There are no teachers in the sport of boxing. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There are no real teachers. You look at the top level of boxing, there are no real teachers up there. And I don't have to call names. All you have to do is sit back and watch the corners and listen to the instructions that's being given in the corners. Look at the training directions.
Or watch them at a media workout.
Yes. A media workout, yes. It's a joke. So that in itself is a setback for boxing. It appalls me when I sit back and watch. I say, oh my God, what is happening? You know, what is happening? It makes me wish, you know, for the years to come, you know. Sometimes I see myself sitting back in a rocking chair, 90 years old, saying I'm glad that I was there in that era and not in this era.
You know, something strange happened last night to me. I sat down and I finished watching some boxing in the UK and I turned over to watch UFC and I was enthralled with the UFC. Preliminary fighters I'd never heard of before. I watched these guys fight and I was excited. And I'd forgot I'd watched boxing earlier on. The way they presented the UFC, the way they introduced the fighters, everything. I thought, hold on. I'm watching UFC. And I'm not watching it because of Conor McGregor or anybody that I know. And I'm interested in this stuff. Why is that? What's happened?
Well, UFC, I think, like I said, most of all, when you have violent sports such as boxing, UFC, etc., most of the fans are living out fantasies when they sit down and watch it. So when they see the brutality of the UFC, they say, yeah, go ahead, kill him, get him, hit him. They're living out their own inhibitions. You know, this is something that they want to express to somebody else. They want to do maybe to their next door neighbor, maybe to their husband or their wife. You know, and when they're doing that, they don't realize that's their own inhibitions speaking to them. So yeah, they can connect with that. You know, they can connect with that. Go ahead, kill him, knock his head off. You know what I'm saying? Hit him in the body. You know what I'm saying? That's the people's inhibitions. So it's easy to be attracted to that there for many people. Me, I can't watch MMA. It's too brutal. I mean, pulling arm sockets out. You know, I watch Home, you know, versus the other girl.
Yeah.
You know, kicked in the head and hit on the floor and the blood and get hit. Girls hit the...
I don't know. Watching Ronda Rousey...
I can't take that.
I don't know. Watching Ronda Rousey being on the front of the Ring magazine cover and then seeing her get beat the way she got beat. It's quite... There's something kind of like satisfying about that because she was on the cover of the Ring magazine. And she was the girl who's supposed to get beat. Well, you
know that, like I said, boxing... MMA is a mental preparation as well as a physical preparation. Some people can handle it and other people can't. I think they put the weight of the world on Ronda Rousey and that was too much pressure for her and she succumbed to that pressure. But if you take that same pressure and you put that same pressure on Alexander Usyk or Vasyl Lomachenko, they're going to take it and they're going to run. They're going to run it. They're going to take it and they're going to run that like a guy running for a goal with a football. Because they live for that attention. They live for that whole atmosphere.
Absolutely.
Alexander Usyk, Vasyl Lomachenko, I cannot say it enough. These guys are class acts. And they're coming to fight, man. So all the people out there who are in the divisions, you better make some preparations. You better bring a lunchbox because it's gonna take a while. These guys coming to fight, and I'm impressed with them. And I'm saying this here not from just a trainer's point of view. I'm saying from a fan's view. It's exciting to me because they say, "Oh, these guys, they come from Ukraine, they come from Russia, they come from Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, they come from Georgia, and they taking over." Yeah, they come in and taking over Boston. What you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? Yeah, I'm coming to your backyard. They was down in Washington D.C. last night, and the people in the crowd were saying, Loma, 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 Uset, Uset, Uset. So yeah, I'm coming to your backyard and I'm taking over. So what you gonna do about it, punk?
Damn.
I like that. I like that because it takes courage, it takes concentration, it takes focus, it takes belief, it takes spiritualism. I like that. It's not their fault. So I'm with them, with them. If you don't like it, do something about it.
Okay, well in that case, that closes us off nicely with Conor McGregor. I am boxing.
You know what, Conor McGregor, I think he's a con artist. I think he knows he's going to get his ass whooped, and the only two that's going to win in a fight between Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather is Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, and those are the only two guys that's going to win. And us idiots that's going to pay $100 to see that,
we'll pay for that. We'll be the
losers.
We're
gonna go. We'll be the losers. We sitting in our house a week after the fight saying, "Damn, how am I gonna pay my cable bill, my insurance bill, my rent? How I'm gonna pay all these bills because I bought that stupid fight between Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather Jr." And those guys sitting somewhere counting millions, and we sitting home talking about, "Damn, I shouldn't have bought that fight." No, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
But you will watch it live though.
Yeah, somebody sent it to me. Somebody gave it to me free. I wouldn't pay 10. I wouldn't pay 10 cents. I wouldn't pay 10 cents to see it.
Have you not seen Conor on the pads? Have you not seen him on the pads doing his pad work at the moment?
Who cares about the pads? Who cares about? I don't care about pads.
I'm glad you're saying this.
That pad work is, you know what? Pad work is a misnomer. It's like the holy grail of boxing now. Pad work is a bunch of aerobic class techniques. If you had an aerobic class, a weight losing class, yeah, that's good for them. They can do all of those apparatus. They can do all that different styles and stuff if you're trying to lose weight. But as far as boxing application, it makes up perhaps maybe 1/5 of what boxing is all about. Pad work. Yeah, I got people come up to me in different gyms. You want me to pad them up? You want me to pad your man up? I can pad them up. Like that's a big necessity. I can pad your guy up. Like that's a great big necessity. Like if you don't have pad work, you can't be a bike. Get out of here. Please get out of here with that. It's a bunch of nonsense to me.
I'm glad you say this because people listening they need to be educated. They need to be educated.
Yeah, it's good. If you run an aerobic class, pad work is good. But the pad work that they see on these YouTube and Facebook and so on, you're not gonna do that to no box in the ring. That's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. It looks good. People say, "Oh yeah, this is good, that's good, this is good," but it's non-relevant. It's irrelevant. To what's happening in the ring. If you go out there trying to do stuff you do in the past in the ring, you get punched in your face very, very hard, very, very often. So I don't buy it. I think that there's like I said, maybe 1/5 of what boxing is can be related to pad work, But for the most part, I don't like using the pads. I really don't like using the pads. I use them because boxers request that I use them.
Mm-hmm.
But I can teach. I can really teach the sport without pad work. Pad work to me gives a false sense of security. You understand? And the pads, like Bruce Lee said, the pads don't hit back. You know, so I think it gives a false sense of security. I think that I would like to teach boxing without even using pads. I use them because, you know, the clients request that I use them, but I think that I can do it without it.
Okay. And the final thing I'm going to ask you, something that's been circling around, what happens if McGregor lands that left hand?
Floyd Mayweather Jr. is a tried and tested fighter. If he do land something, big deal. It's not going to move Floyd Mayweather Jr. McGregor won't show Floyd Mayweather Jr. nothing that he hasn't seen before. He's an ultimate boxer, and he has the mindset of a fighter. You know, I mean, Shane Mosley rocked him really good. The other kid that he said that gave him such a hard time, I forget his name.
Emmanuel
Augustus. He rocked him. Floyd has been in some tough fights over the years, some tough fights. And he's not no walk in the park for nobody. Floyd Mayweather Jr. can fight. It seems to me that he was born to fight. Mm-hmm. And if you come in there shucking and jiving, he's gonna dress you up, put you in a box, and send you back to where you came from. Floyd Mayweather Jr. knows the ins and outs of boxing, and he's not a joke. By no standard of the imagination, he can fight. So Conor McGregor is not going to show Floyd Mayweather Jr. anything. Just too conditioned. I would like to see Floyd Mayweather just stay away from the sport. He's done it. He's done everything. He's going to be like Roy Jones. Roy Jones had an absolute opportunity in my mind. When he beat John Ruiz for the heavyweight championship, that was an excellent time for him to say, that's it, folks, I'm gone. Pack your bags and go away. I'd like to see a boxer just go away like Joe Calzaghe went away and never came back. Joe Calzaghe just packed his bags and said, that's it, folks, I'm gone. I like that there. You know, he lived in his time. He's not trying to live in somebody else's time. Egos is what gets you in trouble. Egos is what brought Ray Leonard out of retirement to fight Camacho and Terry Norris. And to this day, Ray Leonard regrets that. Ray Leonard regrets that to this day. So, yeah, I'd like to just see them guys get out of the sport. Floyd Mayweather has done it. He's done it all. Get out of the sport, close the door on it, and stay with the promotions.
Okay. Uncle Bashir, thank you so much for talking to BWTM. Do you have any final words?
Stay tuned. The best is yet to come.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Uncle Bashir. We appreciate you.
Yes, I appreciate you too. Good night.
Good night.